Hello, my name is Kailash Rabi Azman, and my maintenance number is 01DKM22F1004.
And my name is Lokman bin Zulkafli, and my metric number is 01DKM22F1008.
My name is Fayanaki bin Farizam. My maintenance number is 01DKM22F10T0.
Okay, my name is Haikal Mafiz bin Jasman, and my matrix number is 01DKM22F1110.
Okay, first of all, the introduction of bearing. Bearing are the mechanical component that reduce the friction between moving parts in machine. They support rotational or linear motion to ensure smooth and efficient operation. There is few type of bearing that I list, which is ball bearing, roller bearing, plain bearing, and fruit bearing. So the what we gonna focus in this slide is the purpose of troubleshooting. The troubleshooting bearing is crucial to prevent failures, avoid unexpected downtime, and ensure the lifetime of machine. Okay, move to the next part, which is equipment for troubleshooting of bearing. So firstly, we have bearing puller and press. It used to remove or install bearing without damage. Secondly, dial indicator gaps to measure bearing run-up and misalignment. So thirdly, thermal camera to monitor bearing temperature as overheating can indicate a problem. Then industrial endoscope to inspect internal part of machinery without disassemble. So lastly, grease gun for proper lubrication maintenance for bearing. Okay, for safety precaution, there is something that we need to ensure for safety before handling troubleshooting for bearing. Firstly, personal protective equipment (PPE), which is safety glasses, gloves, and steel shoes, need to wear before handling the troubleshooting to avoid injury from flying debris or heavy part. Secondly, lockout and takeout to ensure machinery is powered off and locked before inspecting or repairing bearing so that the others can on the machine when we conduct the troubleshooting. So thirdly, handle bearing properly is avoid dropping bearing or exposing them to contaminant like dust or dirt because it can damage the bearing. So then temperature awareness. Allow bearing to cool before handling them to prevent burn. So lastly, proper lifting technique. Use mechanical aid for heavy bearing to avoid injury and to make the bearing not damaged. Thank you.
So for the next slide is maintenance that can be done for troubleshooting for bearing. So I have divided it by 5 maintenance activity, which is a regular lubrication, vibration monitoring, temperature monitoring, bearing alignment, and seal inspection and replacement. If all the maintenance activity could be done regularly, it will greatly extend the life of bearing and reduce the risk of unexpected breakdown. So I will explain clearly for the next. So maintenance that can be done for the first part is regular lubrication, because ensure the correct type of amount is important to a bearing, because we need to apply a lubrication based on the manufacturer and recommendation. Because if we apply based on the recommendation, it's avoid over lubrication, which is can cause overheating and grease explosion. And after next is vibration monitoring. It use a vibration analyzer regularly to detect any change in vibration pattern. It investigate any unusual vibration immediately, as they often indicate underlying problem. For the next one is temperature monitoring. For a bearing, it has a temperature that has been recommended by the industry. So the operator need to use a thermometer or thermal camera to monitor the operating temperature of bearing, because we need to control and investigate any temperature rise beyond the manufacturer recommend limit. So after that is bearing element. Bearing element is one of the most important thing in the troubleshooting for a bearing, which is a maintenance for bearing, because it performed by using a laser alignment tool or dial indicator. Because of what? Because of we want to prevent any misalignment, any unnecessary stress on the bearing. After that is seal inspection and replacement. This is also one of the most important thing because inspect seal for damaged leak using a regular maintenance. So we want to prevent any contamination, damage. If has a damage to a bearing, we need to replace it regular every week or month. So we move to the next part.
Okay, so for troubleshooting on mechanical component failure and damage, bearing are necessary in machines to keep part moving smoothly. If a bearing fails, it might cause significant complication. Here how to diagnose and fix bearing problem. Firstly, we must know sign of bearing problem. So there are five sign of bearing problem. First is noise, second vibration, third visible damage, fourth overheating, and lastly hard to move or to lose. So we already know what signs are bearing problem. Next is what common reason for bearing failure. So there are five common reason. Firstly is lack of lubrication. Second is overloading. Third is dirt and debris. Fourth is normal wear. And lastly is misalignment. Okay, next is how to troubleshoot bearing failure. Firstly is a look for the damage, then check the lubrication, test for vibration, check the temperature. Lastly is line pipe. Other than that, how to fix the bearing failure? First is add or change the lubrication. Second is replace the bearing. Third is fix alignment. And lastly is change the seals. Okay, so lastly, how to prevent bearing problems? Firstly is lubricate regularly. Second is we must monitor vibration and the temperature of the bearing. Third is inspect often. And lastly, install properly. So the bearing is in good condition and not fail.
Continue to my part is about working procedure. First, we do a visual inspection. Look for sign of wear such as crack, pitting, or discoloration. For the first picture is about a bearing crack. Next is about a pitting, and that is a discoloration. For the working procedure, we should check for misalignment or looseness in the bearing mount. We must do a put a bearing at the right place and then must fix. Next is about noise and vibration analysis. We must use a stethoscope or vibration analyzer to listen for unusual noise like grinding or knocking. For listening, for listen, we should use stethoscope for listen unusual noises, and then you can use vibration analyzer to know about about the problem for the bearing. Abnormal vibration can indicate misalignment, insufficient lubrication, or bearing wear. And the third, we should check a lubrication. Inspect the lubrication grease or oil for contamination or depletion. Ensure the right type and amount of lubrication are being used. For lubrication. Oil. Advantage oil is about easy to distribute, loop other component, less drag, easy to drain out and change, better for high temperature. Disadvantage is about may leak, environmental concern, than normal lubrication. About grease, the advantage is remain in place, does not leak out easily, improve sealing, and does not require monitoring. Advantage about grease is require more labor to clean out and replenish. High temperature grease is very expensive. Next one is about temperature monitoring. Bearing should operate within their normal temperature range. Excessive heat may indicate excessive friction or overload. A better procedure for hot bearing would be check the housing surface temperature. It might be okay, even though most people find anything over 130 Fahrenheit, which is 55 derajat Celsius, too hot to touch. Slowly add the proper amount of fresh grease to the application. If it's a motor or other machine with a grease relief, open the relief and allow excess grease to escape. Next, monitor the temperature and make sure it doesn't run away. You will often get a temperature spike after adding grease as the bearing eject the excess into the housing. This might take 30 minutes to several hours to stabilize, depending on the size of the machine. The last one is if the temperature keeps going up, call for help. You will probably have to shut down and investigate. If the if the bearing 118 Fahrenheit below is a good, then if the bearing 180 to 200 Fahrenheit is about caution. Next, 200 200 and 250 Fahrenheit must alert. Next, to 150 and to the 300 Fahrenheit, we must go on the alarm, and then 300 above Fahrenheit, we must shut down the, the project. And the last one, bearing removal and replacement. For removal, use a bearing puller to remove the damaged bearing without causing damage to the surrounding component. How to use bearing puller? Firstly, adjust the bearing puller legs. Puller legs should fit tightly around or inside the part to be removable. Second, position the forcing screw. Manually turn the forcing screw clockwise until the screw touch the shaft. And the last one, ensure that the center of the screw is the center on the shaft when adjust the leg. For replacement, clean the housing and shaft before installing a new bearing. Use a bearing press to install the new bearing with even pressure. We have a mechanical and we have three type. First, mechanical, heating, and last one is about hydraulic. For mechanical, this method of mounting is most commonly used on small and medium-sized bearing with almost any type of seat. For heating, when heat is applied to a bearing, it will naturally expand. This means that the bore of the bearing will increase, allowing it to be easily slid into place on a shaft. For hydraulic fitting method are suitable for us in bearing with tapered shaft seats. as well as adapter and withdrawal sleeves. Thank you.
Okay, lastly, for the conclusion. In conclusion, regular troubleshooting and maintenance of bearing are essentially for extending their lifespan and ensuring the smooth operation of machinery. Yearly detection of issue through monitoring vibration, temperature, and lubrication helps prevent failure and reduce downtime. Adhering to safety procedure and using the appropriate tools ensure that the troubleshooting process is both safe and effective, contributing to better performance and reliability of the equipment. That's all from us. Thank you.